Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
June shot her a look of displeasure. Can't she just not talk to me in such an awkward situation? Lulu raised an eyebrow and gave June a meaningful look without uttering another word. All right, remember to call me when you get home. Samuel reluctantly agreed, reminding June to give him a call once she's home. Then, Lulu linked arms with June as she teased him, "Don't worry, I won't lose your wife. I'll make sure she gets home safely." "Fine. Thanks, Spencer's wife," Samuel retorted playfully. This made Lulu blush at an instant, while June suppressed a laugh. "All right, we're leaving now," Spencer said, and warned Samuel with a glare. Samuel shrugged his shoulders and chuckled. "Thanks, Spencer." "Just thank me by talking less," Spencer said with a look of disdain before leaving with June and Lulu. After June and Lulu had bidden farewell to the Riddle family, they left the house with Spencer. "Mom and Dad? We're also heading back now," Sean announced, about to take Jane home too. "Sure, be careful on your way back," Gloria reminded them. "Mom, if there's anything you need us to do at home, remember to call us," Jane softly said. The family had been busy with wedding preparations lately, and she wanted to help if she was needed to. "Yes, Mom. Me too. You can call us anytime," Sally added in agreement. I know you're both really busy. We don't really need your help for now, so just focus on your own stuff, all right?" Gloria said reassuringly. "Mom, it might be a little more difficult for Jane as she's working at the company, but I'm fine. You can let me help," Sally added. In reply, Gloria added, "Yes. Jane does need to work, but even though you're not working, the tasks here can be a little taxing. You should focus on taking care of yourself. Sally, Mom has her own arrangements. She will tell us when she needs us." Steve gently held Sally's hand and muttered. "All right," Sally replied, having no choice but to agree. "Don't worry about it. The both of you can go home and get some sleep now," Gloria said. She then glanced at Sally's belly and looked away. Forget it, Gloria thought. Sean and Steve had been married for quite a while with their wives now. Jane was busy with work, so it would not be appropriate for her to come in and get herself overwhelmed with more than what she already had on her plate. As for Sally, she was unemployed, but her health was still not in the best of state. She figured that she should not say anything about having children, so as not to stress her daughters-in-law. In fact, everything should happen naturally, and in their own time. Sally noticed Gloria's gaze and felt a little awkward. Disappointed at herself, she bit her lip and lowered her head. "Well, we're heading back now." Steve tightened his grip on Sally's hand. After bidding his family farewell, he left the house with Sally. Sean and Jane soon followed suit as well. As soon as they had left the place, Sally found herself unable to suppress the sadness within her anymore. "Steve, don't overthink it. Mom didn't say anything, and Sean isn't in a hurry either. So why should we be?" Steve reassured Sally, appearing nonchalant. He obviously noticed what had just happened. While his mother might be concerned about them deep within, she had not pressured them into giving them any grandchildren. This was not something that could be accomplished by rushing. Because of this, he did not want Sally to feel pressured. As long as they were happy together, everything would fall into place when the time was right. Sean frowned at Steve when he saw that Steve was using him as a tool with which to comfort his wife. "Regardless of whether I'm in a hurry or not, it has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't concern me. Unfortunately, since you're the eldest in the family, the future of the Riddle family will be in your hands. So obviously, your burden is heavier. Sean, you're the eldest, and the family's throne awaits your succession." "I don't have that," Steve thought to himself. Hearing the delight in his voice, Sean shot him a disdainful look and said, "Whoever is the most capable in the Riddle family will inherit it. So, you better work harder." After bidding them goodbye, Sean brought Jane into the car, and they drove away. Watching the departing car, Steve grumbled in discontentment, "You're the eldest anyway. You can't escape." Sally's heavy heart eased after she had heard the banter between the two brothers. Sean and Jane are working so hard for the company. Why are you still arguing with him? I'm busy too. Even though he's busy, he can still see his wife all the time. Unlike me. Steve complained while he wrapped his arm around Sally's shoulder and leaned his head on her shoulder with a pitiful look on his face. I can only see mine when I return home. Steve's antics amused Sally, who went into a fit of uncontrollable chuckles. Then, she patted him in the shoulder and said, "That's enough. Let's go home." Seeing that Sally's mood had improved, Steve smiled in relief, after which he effortlessly lifted her up and said, "All right, let's go home." "Hey, slow down," Sally exclaimed in surprise, instinctively holding onto Steve's neck. Steve flashed Sally a contented smile as he carried her into the car, and together, they headed home. Meanwhile, in the house, everyone had left, leaving only a few in the living room, making the house look rather empty. There, Daniel glanced at Samuel, who was preparing to head upstairs. "Samuel, your injuries have mostly healed. We'll help you with the wedding preparations. But as for the proposal, you shouldn't skimp on June." Naturally, Samuel earnestly agreed, "I know." Although June had agreed to marry him, he had not given her the perfect and official proposal yet, something which he definitely remembered. "I'm glad you remember. Now, go ahead and get some shut-eye," Gloria said, feeling a little sorry for him. "Sure." Samuel hobbled upstairs. "I'll go to bed too." Stanley got up and followed Samuel upstairs. "Oh, Stanley." Mrs. Wallace Sr. chuckled. "He's probably worried that you'll urge him to get married." Gloria laughed upon hearing that. "Oh, I most likely would." "Everything is fated. Let it be," Mrs. Wallace Sr. assured. "Of course." Gloria nodded in agreement. In actuality, Gloria had just mentioned it in passing. If Stanley was unwilling to get married soon, she would not force him to do so either. "Tia, help Mrs. Wallace Sr. home so that she could get some rest," Nicole reminded Tia as she noticed that it was getting late. "Sure," Tia said. "I should get some sleep too." Tia had stuck around for quite a while today as everyone was enjoying themselves. Usually, she would have gone to bed much earlier. After Tia and Mrs. Wallace Sr. had gone off, Nicole turned to her parents and urged, "Mom, Dad, you should go to bed as well." "All right, let's all go to bed." Gloria tenderly patted Nolan and Lona's heads. "It's time for you two to sleep as well." "I'll take care of them." "You two should go to sleep," Nicole said. Gloria agreed. "All right, you two should rest early too." Then, everyone went upstairs, each returning to their respective rooms. After taking care of Nolan and Lana and ensuring they were asleep, Nicole and Jared finally returned to their own room. Seeing that Nicole looked somewhat exhausted, Jared lifted her onto the bed and ordered, "You need to sleep now. And don't you dare get out of bed tomorrow." "It's not that serious. I just need some sleep," Nicole said flatly. "He doesn't even want me out of the bed. Lying like this for a whole day would just make my limbs stiff." "If you don't want to, I can stay at home and watch over you," Jared continued as if he was threatening her. Nicole had no choice but to compromise as she reluctantly said, "Fine, I get it." Initially, she had thought, "I'll just wait for Jared to go to work. What can he do then?" But to her surprise, it seemed that Jared had seen through her thoughts. He then gave her a meaningful glance and said, "I'll have Tia look after you." Nicole's lips began twitching violently once he had finished. Is this guy a mind reader? Nicole pouted and closed her eyes, ready to sleep. She had a look on her face that clearly said, "I don't want to talk to you." Jared smiled indulgently as he laid down and pulled Nicole into his embrace. The next day, the sun rose bright and high in the east. Nicole was ordered to lie down once she had woken up, and to her surprise, Jared really had assigned Tia to look after her. Seeing Tia bustling around, Nicole began to feel a little helpless. "Tia, sit down and take a break. I don't need you to take care of me like this." Her injuries were superficial, and she had already recovered quite a bit after resting for 2 days. She just appeared tired due to the family gathering yesterday, which was why Jared had ordered her to stay in bed today. In reality, her injuries were really not that serious anymore. She could even go to work in a couple of days. Ms. Nicole, you should still get some proper rest. That way, you'll recover faster, Tia advised. I know, I'm not asking you to leave. I just want you to stop being so busy. Come over here to chat with me, please. Since she was not allowed to get out of bed, she would be bored senseless on her own. Therefore, it would be nice if Tia could keep her company. Hearing that, Tia sat down and asked, "What do you want to talk about, Miss Nicole? Why does it feel so quiet outside?" Nicole asked with some confusion. Nolan and Lana had gone off to kindergarten, Jared had jetted off to his office, and Stanley and Spencer had probably gone off to work too. This left Samuel and her parents, who should be at home. Still, why does it feel as if there is no activity in the house at all? She wondered. Mr. and Mrs. Riddle went out, and Mr. Samuel has been staying in his room. That's why it's quieter, Tia answered. What are Mom and Dad doing? Nicole asked curiously. I think they went off to finalize something about the wedding. Tia frowned, the look on her facing indicating that she was not quite sure about the details. Hearing that it was about the wedding, Nicole did not inquire any further. Her parents had been handling these matters on their own all along, so those were things she had little knowledge of. Glancing at Tia, Nicole casually said, Spencer and Samuel are both getting married now. That's why my mom is getting more and more anxious about Stanley. It seems that Mr. Stanley indeed doesn't have a girlfriend. So, Mrs. Riddle's concern is understandable. Tia nodded in agreement. If Mr. Stanley has a girlfriend, they probably wouldn't be so anxious, she thought. Nicole could not help but shake her head in frustration when she saw how calm Tia was. It seemed that Stanley's journey to win his potential wife over was indeed a long one, as Tia did not seem to notice that Stanley cared about her at all. This called into question about whether Stanley's displays of affection were obvious enough for her to notice. However, Nicole had noticed it, so it made no sense as to why Tia, the person who was directly involved, could not see it. Observing Tia closely, Nicole realized that Tia was genuinely calm, as if she was merely talking about someone else's business, which had nothing to do with her. Nicole bit her lip, deciding not to make mentions of Stanley in front of her anymore. After all, what would become of them would be determined by Stanley himself. If she spoke up on his behalf, it might complicate things and potentially result in an unfavorable outcome. As the two chatted away, they heard a sudden string of knocks on the door. Who is it? Nicole asked, confused. Who would come to my room at this time? Ms. Nicole? Mr. Royce is here to visit you, the butler announced from outside. Lawrence. Nicole was surprised. Lawrence actually came to my house to visit me. This prompted Tia to stand up and say, Ms. Nicole? I'll leave now. Since a guest had arrived, it was better for her to leave. After opening the door, Tia waited for Lawrence to come in before closing it and leaving. Lawrence approached the bedside and looked at Nicole in her current state, during which he could not help but crease his forehead. Your recovery is really slow. Should we get another doctor to take a look? Why is she still confined in bed? Is the medical treatment not good enough? He wondered. Nicole's lips twitched, but she could only pretend to be calm and said, never mind. I've actually recovered quite a bit. I just feel a little tired, so here I am, getting some rest. There was no way she could say that she was still in bed because Jared did not allow her to move about. Hearing that, Lawrence breathed a sigh of relief and said, well, you should rest well if you feel tired. Why do you have the time to come today? Nicole changed the subject. I was planning to visit you at the hospital, but I heard you had been discharged, so I came to your house instead, Lawrence calmly explained. A slight smile crossed Nicole's face. Actually, I'm not badly injured. You don't need to worry so much. You're still injured anyway. It's better to be a little more careful, Lawrence sat down, looking at Nicole's somewhat pale complexion. He could not help but feel a little sorry as he said, you don't look so good. You should have some nourishing supplements. I've brought some over and handed them to the butler. He'll arrange for them to be prepared for you. Thank you. Nicole thanked him politely, as the butler had already received them. Don't mention it. If your recovery is slow, it's a loss for me too. After all, We still have projects that need to be advanced, Lawrence stated jokingly. In return, Nicole playfully rolled her eyes at him. I never knew you were so obsessed with money before this. Wasn't I always like that? Lawrence feigned surprise. I guess it's just because I didn't know before. Nicole shrugged, playing along as she knew Lawrence was just kidding. That's probably because of the air in San Giotto. I guess I changed after coming here. Lawrence shifted the blame to the place directly. Nicole nodded. That's probably it. A soft smile crossed Lawrence's eyes when he noted Nicole's antics. Then that's settled. As the two chatted and laughed, Nicole knew that Lawrence had come just to see her with no other intentions in mind. So, they chatted like friends in a relaxed and easygoing fashion. Ms. Nicole, please have some fruits. Tia came in and placed a plate of fruits down without leaving. She wanted to remind Nicole to get more rest. But as the guest showed no signs of leaving, and with the fact that she could not shoo him off blatantly, she decided to stay and, thinking that Lawrence would find her presence bothersome. However, Nicole saw through Tia's intentions, leaving her amused. This girl is a witty one. Lawrence, having also noticed Tia's intentions, proceeded to take his leave. You should rest. I'll come to see you another day. Lawrence said softly as he turned around and strode off. All right, Nicole agreed. I'll walk you out, Tia offered as soon as Nicole had said the word. Lawrence flashed them a light smile and said, It's fine. You stay with her. I've been here a few times. I can find my way out. Okay, Tia stayed, not thinking much about it. After Lawrence had left the room, Tia placed the fruit plate in front of Nicole and said, Miss Nicole, please have some. Come on. You should have some too, Nicole handed her a piece. The two continued chatting casually. However, neither of them was aware that Lawrence had not made his way downstairs after leaving the room. In the hallway, Lawrence paused for a moment, after which he made a beeline for Nolan's room. Seeing that no one was around, he swiftly entered the room and closed the door behind him. He stood still, carefully listening for any movements outside. Once he was sure that no one was out there, he scanned the room before his gaze fell on Nolan's computer. He was fairly certain that the encrypted messages from Nicole had been sent from this computer. He knew the messages had been sent out, but he could not trace them. So, he decided to try and unlock this particular computer. Lawrence approached the computer and pressed the power button. The computer booted after a moment, but just as the screen brightened, it suddenly dimmed, taking Lawrence aback. What's happening? Lawrence typed away on the keyboard to key some commands in. Then, the screen lit up again. However, when he saw what was displayed on the screen, Lawrence's face blanched. A large mischievous grin appeared on the screen, playfully sticking its tongue out. Lawrence narrowed his eyes as he murmured with a hint of confusion, Even the home computer is protected too? This made him even more convinced that the information he needed was definitely on this computer. But he just could not figure out how to unlock it. Alfred, you're still here. Has Mr. Lawrence left? Tia's voice emanated from the outside. Mr. Lawrence? I just came up, and I haven't seen him, Alfred replied, puzzled. That's strange. He just left. Tia was confused too. If the butler had come up just now, he should have met Lawrence. What's going on? She asked herself. I'll go back down and check again, Alfred said, and turned around to make his way downstairs, thinking that he should not neglect the guest. After looking around outside, Tia returned to Nicole's room. What's wrong? Nicole asked after seeing how Tia had returned right after leaving. I bumped into Alfred, and he said he didn't see Lawrence. I find it a bit strange, Tia furrowed her brows, feeling even more puzzled as she thought about it. Nicole was also surprised to hear that. How could that be? I'm not sure, Tia shook her head. Alfred has already gone downstairs to check again. He said that he was probably not looking properly. Although she felt that it was unlikely, it seemed to be the only reasonable explanation. Oh, Nicole responded flatly, not thinking much about it. As Tia looked at the empty cup in her hand, she suddenly said, Oh no, I forgot to get more water for you. After that, Tia left the room again, intending to head downstairs to get some water for Nicole. As she reached the staircase, she saw a figure passing by, but she could not make out who it was. However, judging from the clothing, it seemed to be Lawrence, who she remembered had worn a grey suit. Besides, there was no one else at home, so it could not possibly be Samuel. Did Lawrence just leave? Where did he go moments ago then? She wondered. Tia turned back and went to the other end of the hallway, shaking her head as she thought, no one's at home now. Why would Lawrence come from that direction? Tia felt strange as she hurried off downstairs. However, she could not see Lawrence anywhere, and this shocked her. Where is he? I'm sure that I just saw him. She shook her head in disbelief before going into the kitchen with her brows furrowed. Then, she poured Nicole a cup of water and headed back upstairs. Meanwhile, after watching Tia go upstairs, Lawrence turned and left. Once he got into the car, he leaned against the seat. His gaze darkened slightly. Go. As the car started moving, Ian spoke in a low voice. Mr. Lawrence, did you find it? No, Lawrence answered, his voice cold. He did not expect the computer to be protected. What do we do now? Is there still a chance? Ian asked, surprised. This was unexpected, as he thought this time would surely be a success. I'm not sure. The computer's protection had been triggered, and Nolan would definitely notice it when he returned. Since he was the only one who had been at their house today, it might raise suspicion. So, it would probably be difficult to find another opportunity. But Lawrence could not just give up. He had to think of another plan. Ian looked hesitantly at the rearview mirror before changing the subject. How is Ms. Nicole's injury? It's better. She's recovering, Lawrence replied before turning his gaze to the window. There was sadness in his eyes. He could feel that he was growing distant from Nicole. Their interactions, while seemingly unchanged, gave him the feeling that Nicole would never belong to him. He also knew that Nicole was secretly treating her amnesia. While the chances of success were slim, if she did manage to remember everything, it would be the moment he lost everything. Lawrence could not just wait and do nothing. He had to secure everything before Nicole recovered her memory. As the sun set, after a busy day, everyone returned to the Riddle residence, bringing a lively atmosphere with them. As soon as Nolan and Lana returned, they entered Nicole's room as they showered her with concern and warmth. Mommy's fine. Don't worry. Nicole patted their heads lovingly. Nolan was relieved after seeing that Nicole was fine. Grandma said it's time for dinner. Mommy, you can go downstairs. Nicole took Nolan and Lana's hands and said, let's go. As the three of them stepped out of the room, they bumped into Jared. You're back. Nicole greeted him with a bright smile. Dinner's ready, Jared said, his gaze softening as he looked at her. Holding Nicole's delicate hand, Jared led her downstairs, leaving the two little ones behind. Nolan pouted. Ugh, they just abandoned us. On the other hand, Lana grinned brightly, her heart content. Ah, how nice. Nolan glared at Lana and turned to head back to his room. Lana giggled triumphantly and followed Nolan. Jared and Nicole arrived downstairs, where everyone was already gathered and ready to head to the dining room. Seeing them coming down, Daniel gestured. Let's eat. Then, the whole family sat down in the dining room. After waiting a while for dinner to be served, they all started eating while chatting. Amidst the lively atmosphere, Nolan suddenly came downstairs and approached Nicole. He spoke in a hushed voice. Mommy, are you done eating? Is there something wrong? Nicole asked, noticing Nolan's serious expression. I think someone tampered with my computer. Nolan furrowed his brows as his expression grew more solemn. Nicole narrowed her eyes. Nobody was home except for Samuel, who's immobile. Mom and Dad came back home in the afternoon, and everyone else came back after work. Nolan tugged at Nicole's clothes. Mommy, can you come with me to take a look after you finish eating? Nicole put down her utensils. Sure. Mommy's done eating. As Nicole and Nolan went upstairs, everyone exchanged puzzled glances. What happened? They seemed to think. Jared then said in a low voice, It's nothing. Let's keep eating. Hearing this, everyone turned their attention back to their meal. Jared looked upstairs with a deep gaze. He was not sure about the specifics, but he did hear something about Nolan's computer. He knew very well about Nolan's computer. On the surface, it appeared to be a normal computer for children, but just like Nicole's computer, it had hidden capabilities accessible through a different interface. Seeing Nolan looking unusually solemn, Jared wondered if Nolan's computer was having problems. Meanwhile, Nicole and Nolan had returned to their room. Lana was still sitting in front of the computer, looking at the mischievous face on the screen. When she saw them enter, she immediately stood up and said, "Mommy, Nolan's computer is broken." "All right, Mommy will take a look." Nicole smiled, ruffling Lana's hair. "Go play." "Okay, I'll go play with the building blocks," Lana said, obediently leaving. Fixing computers was not something she understood anyway. Nicole took a seat while Nolan stood nearby and whispered, "Someone must have messed with my computer. Otherwise, the protection wouldn't have been triggered." "Yeah." Nicole's voice grew heavy. She already understood the situation after seeing this. However, there were not many people at home, and nobody had ever shown interest in Nolan's computer. Who could have tampered with it? Suddenly, a thought popped into Nicole's mind. Could it be Lawrence? Today, Lawrence was the only one who had come to the house. According to Tia, Lawrence had disappeared for a while before leaving. The butler had not seen him, and even when he went after Lawrence, he still could not find him. Initially, Nicole thought he had left, but later, Tia said she saw him again, only for him to disappear one more time. Nicole's heart sank as she thought about Lawrence's strange behavior. She did not want to suspect Lawrence, but the fact remained that no one else had come to the house, and Nolan's computer had indeed been tampered with. Why would Lawrence want to access Nolan's computer? What did he want to see? Her gaze darkened as a thought flashed in her head. The 5 crests. She had been paying attention to any information related to the 5 great emblems. All traces of the tracking information were stored in this computer. Did Lawrence want to get access to the information about the 5 crests as well? For some reason, Nicole thought of Lawrence's inaccessible digital crest. She suddenly wondered if it was related to the 5 crests. "What are you thinking about?" Jared's gentle voice sounded in her ears. Nicole looked at him and hesitated for a moment, biting her lip. After all, what she had been thinking about earlier were just speculations, without any evidence. "Daddy, Nolan's computer is broken." Lana's soft voice was filled with concern. "It might be serious this time. Even Mommy can't fix it." It was the first time she had seen a problem that even Nicole could not solve. Hearing Lana's words, Jared's gaze landed on the computer screen, looking at the mischievous face. He realized that it was not that Nolan's computer was broken, but that someone had triggered the protection mechanism by forcefully turning it on. Did anyone come during the day? Jared furrowed his brows slightly. It definitely wasn't someone from the Riddle family. Godpa came. Nolan's voice was so low it was almost inaudible. Nicole was surprised. "How did you know?" She did not tell Nolan that Lawrence dropped by. Nolan lowered his head, seemingly hesitant. He did not want to admit it, but he was certain that Lawrence had come over. However, Nicole had said that the 5 crests were very important, so he could not hide it. Nolan raised his head and looked at Nicole as if he had made a decision. "Mommy, the triggering mechanism is already in its 2nd stage, and I only told Godpa how to activate the 1st stage. Normally, other people would have triggered the computer's automatic protection in the 1st stage, leaving only Lawrence to access the 2nd stage. However, Lawrence probably did not anticipate that there were 3 stages of protection. Even if he cracked the 2nd layer, he still would not be able to access the computer. The 3rd layer could only be accessed by Mommy." Nicole gently patted Nolan's head when she saw his conflicted expression. "It's okay. Even if someone manages to open it, the data inside won't be of much use." She guessed that even Lawrence probably wanted to know what kind of clues she had discovered. However, she could not understand why Lawrence would do this. If he had simply asked her, she might have told him. But Lawrence had chosen to bypass her and not let her know. Could Lawrence be hiding something from me and couldn't let me know? Let someone help you with the 5 crests. Jared's expression darkened slightly. This should not continue to be investigated in secret. They needed to speed up and finish it as soon as possible. Nicole furrowed her brows slightly and hesitated. Who can help me? If they were seeking assistance, they needed someone with exceptional skills and trustworthiness. Apart from Preston, Jared could not think of anyone else at the moment. However, relying solely on Preston would not be enough. Leave it to Preston. He'll contact Ryder and Gary, Jared said in a low voice, sensing Nicole's hesitation. Several figures flashed through Nicole's mind. Although her memory was not very clear, she faintly remembered encountering them in hacking competitions and at her return banquet. Okay then, Nicole agreed. She trusted the people Jared trusted, so there should not be a problem. She did not want to discuss these matters in front of Nolan and Lana, so she got up and gave her seat to Nolan. You can play for a while, and just pretend nothing happened. Mommy, what about Godpa? Nolan still felt a bit upset. Why did Godpa secretly mess with my computer? Nicole smiled gently. Don't think too much about it. Mommy will handle this, alright? He hesitated for a moment before finally nodding. Okay. Nolan, you play by yourself. I'm going back to my room. Lana put away the building blocks and went over to Nicole's side, intending to leave with her. Nolan restarted the computer, remembering Nicole's words. He behaved as though nothing had happened. After receiving a simple task, he got busy. Nicole and Jared left Nolan's room with Lana. The young girl pouted and did not want to go back to her room alone. She wanted to go to Nicole's room. However, Nicole saw right through her daughter. You little troublemaker, you won't be of any help here. If you're bored, you can ask Grandma or Uncle to keep you company, okay? Nicole did not want either Nolan or Lana to get involved in the matter concerning Lawrence. Also, there was no conclusion on this matter yet, and she did not want the children to develop any negative feelings toward Lawrence. Lana pouted unhappily but knew that her mother would not give in, so she sought help from father. Jared smiled as he lifted Lana up. Lana, if you don't want Grandma or Uncle to keep you company, how about Daddy? Lana knew that Daddy would not help her this time, so she kicked her little legs playfully to indicate that she wanted to be put down. Jared released her and placed her back on the ground. Lana raised her small head and said, No thanks. I can manage on my own. Mommy and Daddy can go back. With that, Lana turned and toddled toward her own room. Nicole chuckled and shook her head. After watching Lana enter her room, she turned back to her own. She sighed softly. The 5 crests were indeed irresistible. Even Lawrence had started paying attention to it, resorting to such means. She was somewhat disappointed in Lawrence's actions this time. It felt like her friend betrayed her. Jared looked at Nicole meaningfully. Or maybe he was never your friend in the first place. So you don't need to worry too much about it. What? Nicole blinked her eyes in confusion. What did he mean? Lawrence was never a friend? After all, Lawrence had saved me, and he had helped me a lot over the past few years. You have amnesia, but he doesn't. He knows everything about you. Jared's eyes turned cold. When Lawrence said he just thought that Nikki and Nicole looked alike, Jared did not believe it for a second. Nicole's pupils contracted slightly. Lawrence knew everything about me? She bit her lip and pondered for a moment. Then she looked at Jared and asked in a serious tone, Can I know about what happened back then? Of course, Jared agreed. He had initially wanted to tell her that if she could remember by herself, that would be fine, but if she could not, then there was no need to learn about it all over again. However, considering the current situation, she seemed to know some things about the past. Jared pulled Nicole to sit down, and he began recounting how they had gone out together to find the brave, sought Lawrence's help, and were attacked on their successful journey back home. After which, she disappeared for 5 years. He systematically went through each and every event, his voice low as he retold their past. So, our plane was shot down and we were separated after falling into the sea. After that, I floated to a nearby island and was saved by Lawrence. Nicole analyzed the situation. Jared shook his head. I don't know either. When I woke up again, I was already in the hospital, and it took me 2 weeks to gain full consciousness. However, everyone tried everything, but no one could find you. As for how Nicole ended up on the deserted island, how she managed to float there, and how she was saved, they had no clue. They only learned about her 5 years on the island when she returned this time. Nicole always felt a strange sensation when thinking of the past. But upon reflection, she could not quite remember the details. Eventually, she stopped dwelling on it. In that case, let's contact Preston. He'll help us deal with this, Nicole decided. Things were going as Jared had said. They should make haste to find clues for the crests. Even if there were no clues about the major 5 crests, they should at least have knowledge of the fire crest. Nicole was the owner of the fire crest, after all, so the other crests were none of her business. Jared called Preston. I need your help. Yeah. What is it? Just say it, Preston said briskly. I'll send you all the information and progress. You should find someone to assist you, but this has to stay a secret, Jared emphasized. Preston promised. Come on, don't worry about it. Hanging up the phone call, Jared reached out and smoothed Nicole's hair. You should prepare the information and send it to Preston. Nicole nodded and took out her laptop. She started organizing the clues about the major 5 crests, along with the information she had previously released. She then highlighted that the important one was the fire crest, while the others were nothing more than a cover-up. After emailing the information to Preston, Nicole breathed a sigh of relief. Done. All they had to do was wait for Preston's reply. On Nicole's end, she continued executing their previous plan to divert attention away. In this way, Preston's side would surely go smoothly. Putting away her laptop, Nicole rubbed her shoulders and sighed softly. All the events that happened today were too overwhelming for her, and she needed time to process everything. Jared's hand rested on Nicole's temple and gently helped her massage. You must be tired. Yeah, a little, Nicole answered honestly. She was indeed feeling a little worn out. Helping Nicole relax, Jared lay Nicole down. You should rest now. All right, a pang of tiredness hit Nicole, and she soon fell asleep. She even dreamed a dream she often had. The dream was about Nicole and a man who fell into the water. The man had lost consciousness, so Nicole used her strength to push the man to nearby driftwood. However, Nicole was worn out and did not get onto the driftwood. She gradually sank to the bottom of the sea. While she was sinking, Nicole finally made out the man's face, Jared. Jared! Nicole shrieked and sat up abruptly. Was it a nightmare? Jared's soft voice sounded, and he held Nicole in his warm embrace. Well, I've had this dream for a long time, Nicole whispered while leaning on Jared. I always dreamed of falling into water and pushing a man onto driftwood, but I've never gotten a good look at him before. Except I did today. The man was me, Jared guessed. Nicole's dream was probably a memory of when they fell into the water that day. Maybe it was because you told me what happened back then. So my memory came back a little, Nicole speculated.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.